Have you ever had a thought that made you flinch? A piece of information that just felt wrong? Most of us react to that feeling, that mental discomfort, like it's an alarm bell, a warning that we're in danger. We try to shut it down, push it away, and get back to feeling comfortable as quickly as possible. But what if that discomfort isn't a danger signal? What if it's actually data? Think about it this way. That feeling of unease, what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, is really just a map. It marks the exact boundary between what you believe to be true and what reality might actually be. When a new idea challenges your worldview and you feel that internal cringe, that's not a sign to run away. It's a sign that one of your beliefs is under pressure. Real growth, the kind that changes your life, begins the second you stop asking, "How do I get rid of this feeling?" and start asking, "What belief of mine is being threatened right now?" So why does it feel so bad? Why do we instinctively resist ideas that challenge us? The answer is in our biology. Your brain is a masterpiece of efficiency, evolved over millions of years to do one thing exceptionally well: conserve energy. Building, maintaining, and especially updating your mental models of the world is incredibly energy-intensive. It's metabolically expensive, so your brain has a built-in preference. It would rather defend a familiar, even flawed model of reality than go through the trouble of rewriting it. This resistance you feel isn't a personal flaw. You're not weak or stubborn for resisting change. You're human. It's a feature of your operating system, not a bug. The real wisdom, then, doesn't come from eliminating this resistance. It comes from learning to notice it, to feel it, without automatically obeying its command to retreat. You can acknowledge the instinct to defend without letting it control your actions. Now, this doesn't mean you have to subject yourself to an ideological earthquake every day. You don't need to completely demolish your belief system to grow. The key is controlled exposure. Think of it as micro-dissonance training. Just like lifting weights, where you progressively overload your muscles to make them stronger, you can train your mind's flexibility. You do this through small, intentional encounters with different or opposing ideas. Read an article from a perspective you don't share. Listen to a podcast from someone with a different background. These small acts turn the experience of discomfort from a potential trauma into a manageable practice. It's a workout for your mind. But here's a crucial distinction we have to make. Not all discomfort is productive. There's a huge difference between stretching a belief and attacking your core identity. Productive discomfort feels challenging, yes, but it also feels coherent. It is like a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit, but you can see how it might connect. It expands your perspective. Destructive discomfort, on the other hand, feels chaotic, disorienting, and personal. It's not about challenging an idea, it's about invalidating your worth. Learning to tell the difference is a superpower. When you can identify productive discomfort, you can lean into it with trust, knowing it's a path to growth, not self-harm. This brings us to a skill I call belief elasticity. When some people are faced with a challenging idea, their minds shatter. They get defensive, angry, or shut down completely. Others, however, can bend. They can hold two conflicting ideas in their mind at the same time, long enough to examine them, compare them, and extract insight without rushing to resolve the tension. That ability isn't about raw intelligence. It's about mental elasticity. This is the hallmark of the greatest thinkers, the scientists, philosophers, and strategists who change the world. They don't just find answers, they are comfortable living in the questions. This isn't just some abstract philosophical concept. We see the avoidance of discomfort playing out in our everyday lives. Think about it. Career stagnation often happens because the discomfort of learning a new skill or looking for a new job feels riskier than the quiet misery of staying put. We fall into the same unhealthy relationship patterns because the discomfort of being alone or setting boundaries feels scarier than the familiar pain of a bad dynamic. We become rigid in our ideologies, getting into pointless arguments, because the discomfort of admitting we might be wrong feels like a personal defeat. When you see how this pattern shows up in your own life, the idea stops being abstract and becomes deeply personal. So what can you do, practically, the next time that feeling of discomfort appears? I want to give you a simple, 3-step mental protocol. This isn't a motivational platitude, it's a cognitive tool. First, pause, just for a second. The emotional reaction will be to fight, flee, or freeze. Don't. Take a breath and create a tiny space between the trigger and your response. Second, label it. Instead of thinking, "This is wrong," or "I feel attacked," consciously reframe it in your mind. Say to yourself, "This is belief friction." Giving it a neutral, technical-sounding name strips away some of its emotional power. It turns a threat into a phenomenon to be observed. Third, interrogate it. Ask yourself two simple questions. What specific assumption of mine is being challenged right now? And then, does that assumption deserve to be protected, or does it need to be updated? This shifts you from a defensive posture to an inquisitive one. You become a detective of your own mind, not just a guard at the gate. Pause. Label. Interrogate. This simple process can transform your relationship with discomfort. Ultimately, this all leads to a radical reframing of what wisdom truly is. We're taught to believe that wisdom is about having all the answers, about being certain. But that's not it at all. True wisdom is not certainty. It's the tolerance for uncertainty without panicking. The wisest people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who are most confident they are right. They are the ones who are the least afraid of being wrong. When you can make this shift, discomfort is no longer a punishment for being wrong. It becomes the price you gladly pay for clarity. It becomes the compass pointing you directly toward your next stage of growth. Thank you for watching. If this idea resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that challenges how we think. See you in the next one.